Shalom, shalom. I want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Warash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught us all this truth in the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. I'm Shaquat, and I'm back with another lesson. Lord willing, is edifying to the hopeful elect. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakathum. To you, sincere, Akim, Walk you, and sincere, shalom to you, brothers. Out here pushing this truth down the highways and the byways and through the YouTube lessons, man. Shalom to you all. Lord willing, this be edifying and exhorting to the elect. Alright, so Salakia for the noise. I know you hear that background noise, so please forgive me in advance. Alright, but I just want to get straight into it. So, what was I going to say? So I want to start by going to this article here, because, you know, this has been popping off about, for the past 2 weeks. You know, Jake been down here in Daytona Beach and Orlando, going to Houston, getting in big old quarrels and brawls and shootouts. There's been a trend going around of Jake, you know, sleeping with all these different women in Houston and posting them on social media as they're in the bed. You know, it's a lot going on. Basically, to say it, you know, to put it in the simplest terms, the spirit of slumber is very apparent in these latter days. The spirit of slumber is very apparent in these latter days, and Jake has not been satiated and not satisfied with the captivity that they have been put under. You know, this captivity has not satisfied Jake. You know. So I want to also start by saying fair use. This video will be under the Fair Use Copyrights Act of 1976. Alright, this public information that will be used in this video will be used for the purpose of education, teaching, research, and criticism. This video also will not be monetized. Alright, so I'm going to get this first article and then I may look up a few more, we'll see. Spring break hotspot declares state of emergency curfew after rowdy takeovers spark a mass arrest. A popular Florida spring break destination has declared a state of emergency stemming from several days of chaos leading to over 100 arrests. I didn't even know it was that many. Literally, I'm driving in the car and I looked on news break and I'm like, let me see what's going on. That's the first thing I saw. Additionally, 5 shootings were reported throughout Volusia County, which is where I'm located currently, you know, over the same time frame. So yeah, but I wasn't around when none of this shit was happening. But you know, the city of Daytona Beach issued the declaration along with a 7-day overnight curfew for minors. So this had to be not just college students, but also high schoolers. I'm not surprised. In response to, hold on. In response to several incidents involving spring breakers wreaking havoc on the area. Alright, it says Daytona Beach should no longer position itself as a spring break destination, one of the police chiefs said. It says it is not a decision against tourism, but a decision against unsanctioned high-risk activity that strains resources, disrupts our communities, and places unnecessary demands on public safety personnel. And then, you know, there you go. And these takeover events. I'm sure you guys saw. If you didn't, I'm not gonna play these videos, but there is a video from last week. We had a whole mob of Jakes just jumping this one Jake. I mean, just thrashing his ass, man. I'm like, damn, the fight's over. You subdued the nigga. Just, stop. Right? Thrashing that nigga. And then somebody pop, 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 pop. Everybody scattered like fucking ants. Nobody got hit, but still. And you have that clip on the beach. Somebody recorded from a bunch of floors up in a hotel. And all you heard is, you see the cops out there, you see all them kids out there, pop, 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 scattering like ants. I'm like, these niggas are through, man. You got a bunch of niggas walking around the beach toting guns, portraying themselves that they live a life that they really don't. And you got a bunch of these whores out here just doing that. Doing and dressing and looking like whores, at the end of the day, right? So it's getting bad out here, and it's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse. And it's lucky. The water Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai for that, man. The water Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Things are only gonna get worse at the end of the day. See, I'm still 40 minutes up. But anyway, there was more articles concerning it. It's locking for the notifications out. Shit on D&D. I don't know why it still pops up. But sure, you do a little scrolling, something else will pop up concerning this spring break fiasco. What the fuck? So you get the whole spring break shit. Let me try to look up something concerning it. Just bear with me here a moment. Clicking on the shit, it ain't fucking clicking. We just read about that. Violence, Florida spring breakers caught on camera. Daytona Beach brings curfew. Gunfire sends spring break crowds fleeing in Daytona Beach. Spring break hotspot declared, and we read that one. Daytona Beach cracks down after chaotic spring break weekend. Spring break marred by violence as 5 shootings erupt over the weekend near Daytona Beach. So things are just heating up and getting hectic over here in Babylon. Jake, and it's just a bunch of niggas. Niggas being fucking niggas. Jake ain't worried about what's going on over there in the Middle East, over there in the Levant, concerning Iran, and all these different things. Jake is not concerned with that. Jake is only concerned with getting some play. Looking hard. Alright? Making sure her body all shown. Jake is through. When I say Jake, I'm talking about the men, the women, and the children. Young, old, whatever. Jake is through. And this is all prophecy. Because this happened before as well. That's why the scriptures say things written aforetime. They were written for our learning. Bear with me a moment. Have this stated 3 times. All right. So I'll read this one as read this in the Matthew 24, and we'll start at 37. It reads, "But as the days of Noah were, so also shall the coming of the Son of Man be." All right. So just like in the days of Noah, when he was building up that ark for 120 years. Over the course of that 120 years before that first drop of rain, all right, he was warning the people, hey, the Lord is going to rain. The Lord's going to make it rain. He's going to flood the earth. And at that time, it hadn't rained, and niggas are looking at him like, rain? This nigga's fucking crazy. This nigga's a fool. And they continue doing in their folly. They was like, oh, we don't give a fuck, whatever. We'll get right with the Lord when we feel like it. We're going to continue on in our folly. And things of that sort, right? When you go to verse 38, it says, "For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking," meaning going out, partying, satiating their flesh, all right, fulfilling their flesh, eating a bunch of food, drinking a bunch of wine, alcohol, whatever, partying, living it up. Right? That's what Jake's doing now. Jake is just through. It says marrying and giving in marriage. All right, you still have a lot of those going on. Meaning Jake is just putting their cares into the affairs of this world. They're not focused on what the Lord has going on. They're not focused on listening to the mouth of the prophets. Right? So they continue doing in their folly, playing. Because Jake, our people, they play too doggone much. And you come to realize that more and more as you grow in this faith, that Jake plays too much. They just play too damn much. They don't want to take nothing serious. Everything is a game to Jake. Until it's not, right? Until their life is on the line. Which everybody at this point is betting with their life. Everybody's betting with their life at this fucking point in time. Everyone. Alright? It says, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. So they were doing all that folly, playing around, until that day when Noah entered into the ark. And then when he entered into the ark, that's when that rain got to dropping. Then niggas started being like, oh no, they banging on the ark and shit. Nah, nigga. It's like I said, everything was all fun and games for Jake until it wasn't. And the same thing is happening now. Jake is out here just bullshitting until shit really gets wicked, and then they're going to try to get right with the Lord. But at that point, it's going to be too late. The scriptures say, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. But at that point, it's going to be too damn late. Going to be too damn late by that point. Because y'all wanted to play games during the Lord's grace period. Y'all want to fuck off. So you got to learn by way of a painful judgment. And that's pursuant to 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Because Jake wanted to take the grace period like it's a fucking joke. Like they could get right with the Lord whenever they feel like it. Like we read right here, everybody was playing games until Noah went in that ark. and judgment came. So we are building up right now, currently, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. We're building up a spiritual ark. This time it's not physical, it's spiritual, until we're taken up into the literal, our literal ark, which is a chariot, when the Lord officially seals every member of the elect, as pursuant to Ezekiel 9:4 and Revelation 7, that's when judgment is gonna just let loose. When that spiritual ark is finished being built, and that's when judgment just gonna let loose, man. It's just gonna rain. It's gonna rain. Right? So, yeah, Jake played too much. That's it. That's all I wanted to say was Jake played too much. And I'm going to get a few more concerning the matter, just to show you. Even going to Micah 3. No, Malachi 3, Salakia. Malachi 3. And we read at verse 14, because Jake played too much. It's Malachi 3:14. Ye have said, it is vain to serve God, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord of hosts? And now we call the proud happy, yea, they that work wickedness are set up, yea, they that tempt the Most High are even delivered. So Jake, they walk around saying, what does it profit me to serve the Lord? Which ultimately, you shouldn't be doing it for that, but the profit is much. It's plenty. It's plentiful. The profit of the Lord, the profit you get for serving the Lord is plentiful, even though that's not really what we're thinking about outside of salvation. We're always thinking about that. You're always thinking about salvation, man. About sick of this junk, you know what I'm saying? But outside of that, we don't even think about all that too often, but we do. We think about it, but man, it's a lot of profit that comes with serving the Lord. Like I name one of the most notable profits that you get out of serving the Lord is not dying a brutal ass death, not being fucking brutally judged. Shit, the Lord could judge you so bad that you wish you could die, but the Lord won't allow it. He's just gonna let you stay in the flesh and just bear that shit. They that Jake don't want to walk mournfully before the Lord. When you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, as it was stated, it is better to be in the house of mourning than the house of mirth. It's better to be in the house of mourning than the house of feasting. So we are supposed to be walking mournfully at this time. We weren't put here for our, to have fun and shit. We were put here to walk mournfully before the Lord. We were put here to be humbled. All right, we weren't put here for comfort. We were put here to be made uncomfortable. Deuteronomy 28 says, the sole of thy foot shall find no rest. All right, so we weren't put here to be at rest. Matter of fact, Micah 2:10 says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. It shall destroy you even with the sword destruction if you do not arise and depart spiritually. Right? So this is not our rest. We're supposed to be in the house of mourning. Because pretty soon when you go to Isaiah 65:13, it says the cards are going to flip, the tables are going to flip. And then you're going to have the ones who are walking mournfully. We're going to, Lord willing, be at a number, we're going to rejoice. But the ones who are walking, rejoicefully and rejoicing and all those sorts of things, they're going to be walking mournfully. They're going to be mournful. So Jake doesn't see any value in serving the Lord. And through that, you're going to be judged for it. You're going to pay for it ultimately. So you're betting your life with that. All right? Are you betting with your life concerning that? Right? And ultimately, you're going to be judged. Point blank, period. So, shit. So, let me see what else I want to get. Let me go. I think I was thinking chapter. Let me see. All right, Amos 6. Jake play too much. Yeah, Amos 6 and 3. Ye that put far away the evil day, and cause the seat of violence to come near. Jake put away the evil day. You have a lot of Israelites out there who say, I believe what you all are saying, but you know, I'll get right with the Lord when I'm ready. Well, this ain't about a when you ready thing. This is about when the Lord wants you to get right. He giving you the opportunity now. You need to get right, because you say, "Oh, when I'm ready." Well, who's to say you're gonna make it to tomorrow? Who's to say you won't die today? Who's to say that? Right? I'll get right with the Lord tomorrow. Well, the Lord said in Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and 7, put not off the Lord from day to day. You understand? Isaiah 55 and 6. All right, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Not when you're ready. It's when the Lord ready. And he's ready. But Jake don't want to hearken. You know, Jake don't want to hearken. I missed my damn turn. Salakia. Man. Should be good right now. Salakia. So, yeah, man. So they putting off afar the evil day, and eventually that means what? The Lord gonna sneak up on it, man. And the Lord says that pretty often throughout the scriptures. All right, the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night. Right? It's gonna come as a thief in the night. Right? Because Jake played too goddamn much. They play too goddamn much. Right? So let me see. That's all I want to get. Oh, when you go to Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, there's a time for everything. There is a time to rejoice and things of that sort, party, have fun, but this is not that time. All right, for this is not our rest. This is not our rest. All right, so this is the time to be mourning. This is the time of war. This is not the time of peace or love or none of that stuff, or partying. This is the time to be walking mournfully before the Lord. You understand? That's the time that we're living in. But Jake just seems to not understand that. Right? They lack understanding concerning that. And that's why they're going to be judged brutally. Right? I was going to say, damn, man, it's Salakia. When you go to Editions of Esther, chapter 5 and 8, it says, it did not satisfy Jake that they were placed in utter captivity, roughly paraphrasing. So even though we were placed in captivity, the Lord put us under our worst, what do they call that? Something enemy. What do they call that? I don't know, but he put us under our worst enemy. You know, the basis of man. And he made us basically based in this kingdom. You know? And Jake's still not satisfied by that. That's why when you go to Isaiah 1, the Lord said, why should ye be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. You're just going to keep rebelling against me. You're going to keep kicking against the pricks. Why should I even continue punishing you? That's why this is our last captivity. You know? The lucky number 7, right? We know there is no such thing as luck. I'm just saying that. But you get the point. 7 means completion. So, yeah, man. Jake played too doggone much. They played too god doggone much. Everything is a game to Jake until it's not. Everything is a game to our people until it's no longer a game. You know, they mock the prophets, scoff at us. But it's cool. All of it's fun and games until ultimately it's not. Jake has been plagued with the spirit of slumber. But as Romans 13 and 11 states, it is now a high time to wake out of sleep. Our salvation is nearer than when we believe. So it's time to wake up, Jacob. But they're going to stay asleep unless they're of the elect. If they're of the elect, eventually they will be woken up. But if they're not of the elect, they're going to stay asleep and they're going to be destroyed. All right, they're going to stay under that spirit of slumber that the Lord has plagued them with. All right, the Lord clearly has not blown breath back into these vessels that are participating in these stupid takeover events and shit of that, things of this sort. Jake is through. All right, so I do hope and pray this is edifying to the elect. All right, so lock in for the noise again. Just a short one. I do hope and pray that you all were edified. So call Halayim La, Abanawa Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who have taught us all this truth in the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And until next time, Abba Babal, Kwam Yasharala, Gadol Abadiam, Lababal, Hakadol, Yahweh Mahar, Wa Habathum. And until next time, I would like to say unto you all, Shalom.